What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Motor Mouse Garage. Some quick housekeeping right up front. So until the end of this year, 2023, I'm going to be running a giveaway. If you've watched my 1,000 subscriber video, you know this already, but make sure you're entered at the link in the description below. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel and fill out that Google form. Include your email address, contact info, and stuff like that. And then, yeah, you'll be good to go and you'll be entered. And then we'll be drawing probably sometime in January. So plenty of time to get in if you're watching this in 2023. If you're not, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Just wanted to pitch that to you guys. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Motor Mouse Garage. And today what we're going to be working on is we've got to take apart the front hubs again. Specifically, I just want to replace the front brakes, right? So, but I'm going to be rebuilding the calipers. I'm also going to be replacing wheel studs, which all that's going to have to come apart. So I'm going to focus on the front axle today, and then probably work on the rear axle at some other point. Just because I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I know it ain't going to be quick. So let's just get started and jump right into it. Here's another reason why we're doing this. I have all new lug nuts because I have like 4 different types of fucking lug nuts on here. So I'll be replacing the lug nuts with factory new lug nuts as well as factory new studs. See, brakes aren't too bad. I don't know, I just don't get a lot of stopping power with this brake setup, so I figured I'd go to a more aggressive pad. Plus, I know that these wheel studs are probably original, and I also know that this wheel has fallen off before because there's a bunch of deep gouge marks in the wheel itself on the inside. So figured it's probably time to replace them. Grease, hate it. don't want a bit of overkill here with the grease. All right, so it's hot, I'm sweaty. We got the new studs pressed in, so that's great. And we're about to button up the hub right now, but I wanted to give a little bit of insight into what I'm doing here. So I decided to go with Disc Brakes Australia, and you can see I actually finished up the other side over here. So we're going with DBA rotors and DBA pads, Extreme, just because at the time that is what they had on Slee's website, so that's what I went with. And then I also decided to just go ahead and upgrade the brake lines with the extended brake lines from Slee. So I got both the front and the rear brake lines, which it comes with 3. The only ones I didn't get were arguably the most important ones, the one that go from caliper to axle, because I didn't have them in stock. So I'm not going to do that right now, but I do want to replace those very soon. So that's kind of next on the list for me. But let's keep going. And there we are. I find it odd that these don't have like an oil coating. I'm still gonna wipe them down. I gotta go to the parts store for some brake fluid and brake cleaner, but let's get these on. Alright guys, so the camera overheated again. I had to put it in the freezer for a little bit, but I got the brake caliper off, so that wasn't too bad. Now what we're going to do is take all of these boots off right here, and I hope that's not the lens fogging up. It was, but we got to take off all the pistons, and I will film how to do that. So essentially we're just going to take a screwdriver, this guy, and pop off the outer seals, right, like this, pretty much. Boop. We'll do that for all of them. And then we'll replace the inner sails, just like I did the other ones, and clean out all the pistons and all that stuff. So always a good idea to do this every once in a while. If yours hasn't done it in a while, probably go ahead and do it. But let's keep going. Alright, we got the boots off. Now I will show you how to get the pistons out, which is no easy task, let me tell you. I mean, it is, but it's not. Okay, so what I've been doing is I've been taking 2 blocks of wood pretty much and getting some air in here, and these come out pretty aggressively. So I just give a little bit of pressure until one of them breaks loose. Woo! So yeah, ideally you want something in between these pistons so they don't do that. And definitely do not ever put your fingers in between here, because that will hurt and you might lose a finger. I don't know though, but I'm not willing to find out, you know. Sorry about that, guys. I knew that compressor was going to come on eventually. But, so that's how you get one of them out. And I've got the other ones loose using air too, but I feel like what I'm about to do, it's a little bit easier of a solution once you get the remaining 2 out. Because once you have one, it doesn't seal anymore. So therefore, kind of hard to get these out. So you kind of want to be gentle doing this though, and if it doesn't move, then I would recommend stopping. But because I'm going to reuse these pistons, hopefully. So flip it over and we'll tack it from the other side. So kind of just going to do this back and forth until hopefully we make some progress here. It's very slow. So what we can try now is I can throw these back in and I will clamp them on one side. So this is just going to seal this side. Since we both got them from one side, it should be easier, but we'll see. I don't know. Kind of a pain in the butt to get them out. So once they come out, they'll be a lot easier, but getting them out is kind of a pain. But I've got a C-clamp here, and I think I can get away with holding one side and then using air to get the rest out. C-clamps are never in a position you need them in. There we go. Okay, well, while y'all watch me struggle, I need 3 hands. So got all the pistons out. Essentially, I just blocked off one at a time just so they broke loose, and then I was able to get them out using chisel technique, right? So now we're gonna clean these guys up and then clean out the insides and replace all the seals. Okay, so pistons cleaned up pretty nice. The inside is still pretty corroded. I'm not super worried about that though, because it's just the inside. Got all the loose corrosion off of this lip here, but I think they'll be okay. So now I'm gonna clean out the inside of these, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but let me grab a flashlight and let me grab the camera. But you can see the inner seal is right in there, and you want to use like a 90-degree pick to get that out. Just make sure you don't scratch the bores of the brake piston. No big deal, just don't go crazy. So we're going to replace that, and then Toyota gave us some of this red grease, so always wear gloves when using that. There was a warning label on it, so I'm assuming you should probably follow that warning label. Don't let this stuff touch your skin, and if it does, wash it off immediately. So, yeah, we're just going to clean out the inside of this because you can see it's still all crusty in there. But I'm just going to wipe it out with some blue rags, and then, yeah, we're going to replace the seals, which are right underneath all this mess here. Cool. So we're going to grab this red grease and our internal seals here. So these are really important to make sure you don't fold or anything like that. They come greased in this package, but I'm going to use this on the O-ring itself and then on the piston as well before it goes in. They didn't give you a ton, so I'm not going to use a ton. I'm just going to throw this on here and kind of spread it around with my gloves. And going in, super simple. Just pop it back into the groove on the inside. And just kind of collapse it down right there. And we're just going to repeat this for all four of the seals. Alright, that's pretty much it for the red grease. So I'm also going to use brake fluid. I have an additional cup of brake fluid over here that I'm going to use to lubricate these pistons on their way in. I also use brake fluid to like clean the pistons as well. So we are good for that. And I just use brake fluid to clean just because it is corrosive, so it kind of works as a cleaner as well as like a lubricant and an oil basically. So just grab it, dip it in here, and we're just gonna push it right back on home. So we're not gonna go all the way, we just want to make it past the seal. There we go, because we still need to put the other the outer boot on, right? So we don't want to push them all the way in because then we're gonna have to use air to get them out, and it's gonna be pretty annoying. Ask me how I know, because that's what I did on the other side. Might take a little wiggling to get them in there, but they shouldn't really fight you all that much. Just gonna wiggle it in all four directions. There we go. So we got them pointed out just a little bit,
So now we got to get the outer seals on here, which are over here. I don't typically lubricate these or anything like that. So we've got these little clamps here. We've got 4 of them, and then 4 boots, basically. I know I'm running out of light here, so I'm trying to move a little bit quick, and so you guys can kind of see what's going on. But essentially, the lip on the outside is going to go down toward the caliper like this, and we're just going to yeet this little O-ring over the outer lip of the piston, and then we can send that piston all the way home and then secure this outer lip right here. And then for these little silver rings, what I do is I'll mate them up right here, and I'll just throw them around the outside and then slowly kind of pull them and push them into place. And then we just want to make sure they're in place. Grab a little pocket screwdriver and just go around and make sure they're seated all the way in. Kind of hard to see on video because I'm working with a lot of small tools, but if you're doing this job, I think you'll understand what I mean. Yeah, so that one's good. Do the same for the rest of them. So that's it for the piston reseal. Now I'm going to replace this bleeder screw with speed bleeders. Maybe, if I can find the right wrench. Little note on the bleeders here. See how the speed bleeder is a little bit pointy? I'm actually going to file that down to match the OEM profile. I've heard some people having issues with it, and I'm just going to nip it in the butt. You can see here maybe that I've matched the point, the profile point. So the last time the speed bleeder was pointy, and now it's matching the OEM one. So I don't know if that's actually going to cause a problem, but I've heard it caused some problems with some people and some, not some, on the others. So, I don't know. Just realized I was threading this in to the wrong hole. No big deal. Y'all are probably watching me doing that like, what are you doing? It's alright. They're the same thread. It's actually not super late. We should still have some daylight right about now, but I think it's about to rain, and cloud cover took all of my natural light, dude. Should have an hour of sunlight left at least. Okay, those are tightened up. So now I'm going to replace the brake line, which I already got loose. The other side was kind of a pain in the butt, and I actually had to burn it out, but we got that taken care of. This one, I'll show you where it goes, and then I'm just going to replace it. So my camera died because it overheated. Happening a lot. It's hot. It just is what it is. So had to keep working in the meantime. We've got the brakes bled, got the caliper back on. We've got the stainless lines back together. I know it's kind of hard to see. It got a little dark on me here, but pretty much finished up. So the only thing left to really do is to put on the new lug nuts. So I got new lug nuts, which, by the way, Land Cruiser lug nuts are like stupid expensive. They're like $7 a piece. Like, that's ridiculous, dude, right? But I did get new ones because the other ones were like, they're a bunch of different ones. I'll just do the front ones for right now because I still have to do the rear brakes. But for today, I'm done. I don't know if this is going to be the video yet. We'll see where the footage comes out. Let's get started on the rear brakes. Full disclosure, I finished this side entirely first, but I'll take you along for the other side, and I also have something else. I ordered a new, what is this? Some kind of valve, like a load sensing proportioning valve, I think it's called. And the reason I did is because I don't have any brake pressure on my rear brakes, and I think this is the reason why. So we're going to be replacing this as we're going to be replacing this as well. Yeah, I even bought specific line wrenches for this, but let's get started. So for this one, probably going to do something I probably shouldn't, and I know I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to replace the wheel studs without removing the hub. So basically, I'm just going to take a hammer and press these guys out. Well, press. And then I'm going to use a lug nut, an old lug nut, to center back home. I know you should definitely use a press. However, I know I'm going to be taking this apart again. On the other side, I had a leaky axle seal that I need to address. But that's how I'm going to do it. Feel free to let me know how much of a dummy I am for doing it this way in the comment section, because you're probably right. But I ask you this, viewer who has an issue with the way I'm about to do these. How would you replace a broken wheel stud on a trail? Granted, it's not a trail and I even have a press, but you know, scenario. Oh, disgruntled viewer. Just kidding. 99.9% of you guys are great. Super positive feedback. And yeah, I'm thankful for that. Man, guys, I think my I think my ratchet has left the chat. That was very unfortunate. Well, dang it. Kind of looks like it popped out here. I know you probably can't see that from this far away. Hey, it had a good run. Dude, this thing's pretty old. I will say this, Toyota has some interesting methodologies behind their rear brakes that I'm not a fan of, but it is what it is. It took me longer than I care to admit to do the other side. I'm going to be honest, I think in the very near future I'm going to be replacing all of the rear brakes on this guy. Because you'll probably see when I get to this piston, but oh my lord. Actually, this piston may be worse. So you guys might be in for a treat here. honestly, the rubber's not in bad shape. Surprising. Yep, we're gonna be doing rear axle seals, I think, in the near future. Okay, now for the things some people are just not gonna like. Maybe. This one looking a little bit more corroded. So I have an old open top lug nut, right? I've got a Blue Point adjustable wrench. You can see that kind of nicely fits this bevel. And then I've got some anti-seize, which we're going to use on, I'm going to use it on both the threads and the part that presses in for the wheel stud, just to make it a little bit easier on the entire system overall. Because this side's a little bit more rusty than previous sides, or the previous side. This stuff is now going to be everywhere. I literally hate anti-seize, but it might just save us a bolt, or maybe not. Don't worry if we break this wheel stud, because I had to order 20 from the site I ordered from. I think it was just a dealership. So I'm not too worried about breaking one or two, because I've got like a lot more of them left. So what I've been doing, I did this to pretty good success on the other side, is I've just been kind of using this wrench as a spacer, right? And then I've been using this lug nut as my driving tool, I guess. And then I've been using my impact to drive them in most of the way. I know. I already know what you're thinking. I already know what you're going to say. But aren't you going to stress out the lug nuts or the wheel studs? Lug nuts, yes, probably. Wheel studs, I'm not super worried about it. But guess what? If they break, I've got like 10 more. So you can also do it by hand. I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that you're going to be here for a while if you're doing it by hand. So I choose the faster method. There we go. So, doesn't really damage the wheel stud because it's getting pressed in pretty much the entire time. It does smoke the lug nut. So, eventually, this lug nut is going to be no bueno. So use one you don't care about or you're going to get rid of. You can see I've already flattened it doing the other side. But I've got a couple more from the garbage lug nuts on the other side. And basically I'm just watching the gap on the back of it just to see that we're fully seated against the hub. Dude, this sucker's hot, man. I might not use anti-seize. I didn't on the other side and it was fine, and it actually looked like it went a little bit better. But yeah, so that's how I did it on the other side. I will warn you that this can absolutely cause one of these wheel studs to break. Okay, so if you're going to do it this way, just know you're taking a risk versus taking the hub out and actually using a press to press these in and out. Okay, but I'm going to finish up the rest of these. I just wanted to show you guys how I'm going to do this. Again, use at your own caution. I am not liable for anything you break or any dumb decisions like me you make. So, yeah. PSA. But if you're on the trail, pretty good alternative, you know? So you can see this doesn't really mess up the wheel stud at all. It's mainly just the lug nut. So, like I said, you just want to be kind of careful. You want to watch the back of the wheel stud, and as soon as it's, you know, as soon as it's pressed up against the back of the hub, stop, because otherwise you're going to stretch these wheel studs out, and or you know, could potentially break them. So just be cognizant of that. There we go. There's wheel studs. Wheel studs the not optimal way. Just use a press, guys. Nice DBA rotors. Not sponsored by DBA. Not sponsored by anybody. In case you're curious. No sponsors, guys. Okay. So now, what I think I'm going to do, probably a little bit reluctantly, is I'm going to take apart this caliper. The other side was not great. This side looks even worse. And then, yeah, so I'm going to take this guy off, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like on the other side. Alrighty, this is kind of where I've been doing my caliper rebuilds. You can call them that. Here we go. Old dust boot. Let's get some air in here. And again, when you're doing this, please, for the love of God, do not put your fingers in between the piston and this block of wood, because that will probably break a finger. There we go. Alrighty, so this piston already looks way better. The other side was completely corroded, but you can see there's some damage on like the face right here. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on camera, but there's like a little gouge right here. It's like someone hit it with like a hammer or something. But dude, this other side was all pitted, so I think I'm gonna replace at least one of these calipers in the future. Because it was pretty bad. Like, I would not be surprised if that thing starts leaking now that I've rebuilt it. This one actually doesn't look half bad, if I'm being honest. Very similar to the front. You know, definitely on the older side. This has never been done, probably, but not bad. So, let's see what the inside of this caliper looks like. Oh, it's super gunky in here. I don't know if y'all can see. There's not the greatest lighting here. Let me grab a flashlight. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's like super gunky in there, which probably explains why this piston wasn't moving, I don't think. But we're gonna clean this guy out, and I will show you the end result, I think. So this is inside cleaned up and greased up a little bit. So again, Toyota gave you some grease for this, so I just put some in there along with some brake fluid. And then working on the piston right now. And the piston in pretty good shape. So let's get it back in here. Got our piston in and our little dust boot on best I could. And now I'm actually going to wait to put the speed bleeder in, because I'm going to use the speed bleeder for the valve that we're going to be replacing here in a second. But let's get this back together. All right, and we got all new hardware for the brakes. So we've got new caliper bracket bolts, new rubber, pretty much new everything. So going back together. Little tip for this rubber thing, it goes in from this direction, so from the outside in. I tried to do it from the other direction on the other side for a while, and then got it in like a couple seconds from this side. I highly recommend lubing it up with something I'm just using some silicone lubricant blaster, PB blaster. And then the hardest part is just getting this initial little piece in. And once you're rolling, it's actually not too bad. You kind of just shove it in there, fold it in on itself, and gently shove her in there. Also doesn't help that my hands are now super slippery. There we go. It's got to fold in on itself, and you'll get it in there eventually. Toyota techs of the 90s are probably laughing at how difficult this is for me. And then, once it pokes through on the other side, I'm going to need to grab some pliers. Isn't it weird how you say pliers? Like you refer to them as like they're multiple or like more than one, but they're not. Anyway, back to doing brakes. So yeah, you just pull it through on the other side. Granted, you know, easier said than done. I understand. This one, I kind of just shoved behind the bottom pin because my brake caliper brackets are so corroded. The lip that holds this section in is just non-existent anymore. Like, it's just filled with rust. So I'm kind of just going to shove it in there. But first, we need to put the brake pads in. And before that, we need the hardware. So typically, if your brakes squeak, it's usually because this hardware is not worn out, but just very dry. So if you lubricate inside these channels, usually that will fix your brake squealing problems. Dealt a lot with vehicles that had a lot of brake squealing issues. So Range Rovers specifically, they're very they use a lot of brakes and they use very big brakes and very aggressive pads from the factory. So a lot of people complained that they were too loud, so I had to do a lot of brakes. And usually just give it a spin to make sure none of the hardware is like destroying itself on the rotor. Actually, this right here is specific Land Rover brake pad paste that was actually part of the recall. And every time you do one of these brakes, it would give you a huge tube. So I had like a bunch of these. And it's just like a copper, what's it called? What is it called? Tell me, audience. It is anti-seize. Yeah, just like a copper anti-seize basically. And a little bit will go a long way here. You don't want it bleeding over onto the pad itself. Not that these brakes do a whole lot on the 80 series, or at least they don't right now. I'm hoping once we replace that valve, it's going to fix that problem, but it could also not. So, all right, I'm going to throw this back one in here. I don't think these are directional. Also, if you didn't know, some brake pads are indeed directional. So just be cognizant when you're putting brakes back together. This side gave me trouble in the back last time. There we go. Not so much that time. And the contact points, by the way, are just like these little ears. And then I'll do this little flat part on the back. So kind of looks like so. Just every part that contacts the actual brake pad hardware is what I lubricate typically. These brake pads are kind of weird because they kind of sit in here a little bit, and then, oh, well, first I need to bend these back out because I tried to use these on the other side because I wasn't paying attention. we go. Should get us there. I bent it again. There we go. There we go. Brake pads officially in. Now we need the caliper, which I have a new back shield that I'm going to replace, but I'm going to put the brake pad or the brake caliper on, and we'll worry about the line in a little bit. But I think the best way to go about this is to lubricate these pins first. So go easy on these pins. You don't need like a ton on here. I'm actually going to use my Land Rover recall grease I got here. That's pretty much all I'm going to put there. And then same goes for this side. And I'll spread it out just a little bit. We're going to start with this bottom one. And I think a good way to do this, maybe, might be to just hook it around here, like so. An idea. I'm gonna try this. I'm just gonna drive this bottom pin home and then try to rotate up and see if that will make things a little bit easier on me. Maybe not. Let's take her off. First, let's see if this pin goes all the way in. It does. Maybe it's just got to be really straight. Oh, I know what it is. It's a shield. Let's get the shield off. All right, we got to take this shield off. I think that'll get us where we want to be. Also got new bolts for this and a new shield. That'll do. Shield was in our way. And here you just kind of squeak by this rubber boot. I know I'm showing you guys how to do brakes, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, I'm going to be honest. And now it's just a matter of getting this sucker in here. Okay, so I know you're not supposed to do this. I know. I can already hear it. I already hear your comments. And I agree with you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a hole in here to let all this air out. Because that's what's stopping my pin from going in. And that's what I did on the other side. And I had great success with it. And I know what you're thinking. But Kody, it causes corrosion. That's bad. I'm like, I know. Then don't do it. But I'm going to do it. Poke a tiny little hole right there. And that is going to be, hopefully, a success. So I'm not going to lie. These pins do not slide very good. So I'm thinking this might be a me problem, quite frankly. And if it is, let me know in the comments. They do slide, just not as good as I hope them to. So basically I'm just working it in and out. I need to get this rubber boot situated here. There we go. Let's lean this guy back and pull our boot back, dude. Oh, I broke it. I broke it, guys. Rip. Do I use the old one? I think the old one's ripped too, actually. It is. All right, so we'd be in the same situation, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna cry about it. At least not on camera. Just kidding. It's not that big of a deal, guys. I have a feeling I'll be visiting these brakes again sooner rather than later. We're just gonna torque these down to German torque specs. Guten tight. Okay. Brake caliper officially on. Let's get this brake line on here. Wherever that went. There we go. I'm gonna clean this sucker up just a little bit. And I also have brand new gaskets for this. And the old gaskets are still attached. Usually I like getting a pick underneath here. So full disclosure, I do have some braided stainless steel lines for both the front and rear brakes on the way from Slee. I finally was able to catch them when they were in stock. And so we'll be here again. There we go. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't go in a rotor or something. I'm not sure. Okay, I think that was just completely missing a gasket, so this will be ready to go back on. Torque spec is the same as the front for these. I think I mentioned the torque spec there. In this case, I'm going to do German torque specs again. Not recommended. Torque your stuff, people. As I said in previous episodes, right? You get a feel for torque specs eventually, you know? Like you roughly, I'm not saying I'm like a human torque wrench, right? But you get enough of a feel to make most things work pretty well. There's some non-negotiables for me, like, you know, I'm not gonna do this with head bolts or anything wild like that, you know? But, you know, some brakes. I've done so many brakes in my lifetime that you just get a feel for it at the end of the day. All right, so we got the line back on. We've got new rotors on, new wheel studs. Parking brake seems good where it's at. So now what I'm going to focus on is our valve up underneath here. So I'm going to try to film as much of this as I can. I realize that it's not going to be the easiest thing for me to do, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so this isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world to film, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to start probably with these lines, and yes, I went out and bought proper, what are these called? Flange wrenches? Flare nut wrenches? Oh, dude, night and day. This is the first pair of these I've ever owned. Which is perfect. And we're just gonna go around and loosen these guys. There we go. Not bad. Now we're gonna try to loosen these.
These I think probably 12s, which I do have. So let's see. Oh man, a lot of people said these would be really bad. I'm very thankful that I live in the desert because I think we're gonna be okay. Yep. All right, let me get an actual ratchet now. Oh yeah, man. Perks of living in the desert, let me tell you. Look at that, no problem. Clean threads. Even reuse them. Sorry, Rust Belt dudes. Oh wow. Incredible. Let's see. We get lucky. Oh yeah. Oh maybe. This one's a little bit less forgiving. I don't even know if I have to take this off. I'm just assuming right now. Should we investigate to see if we gotta take this all the way out? I don't think I'll be able to get lucky 3 times in a row, or 4 times rather. Let's check it out. Let's do some investigating here. All I know that this thing is leaking. It's just about all I know. Leaking and getting dust all over my eyes. Those are the 2 things I know. To be fair, I might end up just deleting this valve if this doesn't work. Just so you guys are aware. I want to at least attempt to fix this sucker. Also can't see because I'm trying to film this, so I'm literally just doing this blind. Oh, there we go. Something's happening. All right, that tells me nothing. Back to wrenching, maybe? Oof, maybe not. Let's go back in the other direction. Perhaps. This will probably help if I just got a normal wrench.
Okay, so last you saw, I was taking off that load sensing proportioning valve, and I think I lost the footage from the rest of that, which is unfortunate, but I can summarize it. Essentially, I struggled, all right? I struggled getting that load sensing proportioning valve off because it was rusted to that bracket. So TLDR, basically, I took that bracket off with the load sensing proportioning valve, and I smacked it with a hammer to get it off, and it took me hours. That's probably why I didn't film a lot of it, but what I did film, I ended up losing. I don't know what happened to it, and it'd be like that. But yeah, so those of you that have replaced that valve before probably looked at that video and were like, oh, this guy's about to have a real bad time. And you'd be correct. I did have quite the bad time. So that took me many hours into the night. And basically how the video ended is I did end up replacing it. And then I bled the brakes, which it all turned out okay. So I've been driving them for a while now. So it's quite some time after that video. And I just now realized I lost the footage. So it's unfortunate, but with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching this video and all my other videos. Please give me a like, leave me some comments because I always read your comments, and share the video with somebody. Let's grow. Let's grow a little bit more in 2024, right? So that is my goal, is to grow this channel a little bit more, add some more content. And also don't forget about our giveaway, which I think will just be ending right now. So currently it is Christmas Eve, 2023. So Merry Christmas to you all. Wanted to give you that because I plan on releasing this on Christmas Day as a treat, as a Christmas bonus, right? So Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you very much for watching my channel. Thank you very much for your support, dude. Like, it means the world to me. But please follow along, subscribe if you haven't already, and looking forward to the new year. And I'm going to do a Q&A with the giveaway. So I'm going to do the giveaway live with everybody that signed up at the end of the year, and then first week of January, I'm going to do a Q&A, and I'll do the giveaway live, so you can see it's not rigged or anything like that. But yeah, so thanks guys. Have a good one.